G'day there guys, how's it going? It's Markee, back at it again with another episode of r/EntitledPeople. Now your Aussie Hubby wants you to sit back, relax, chuck a prawn on the barbie, and get ready for some bloody good content. Posted by user Throwaway Bit Win. Titled, Entitled Twin Who Got My Girlfriend Pregnant and Entitled Parents Try to Get Me to Donate My Kidney After They Disown Me for Being Bi. You heard that right, we're going straight into it today. Was told to post here. Our cast are fake names for obvious reasons. So I don't think you'd... Thank you for keeping their identity private. Me, Ryan, brother equals Sebastian, mum is mum, dad is dad, sister is Jane, best friend is Isaac, cousin is Kai, backstabbing cow is girlfriend, and husband is damn Daniel. I, Ryan, and my twin brother Sebastian have never ever been close. In fact, he made life hell growing up, and my parents didn't help by playing favorites. Getting him better stuff on our birthday, only going to see films that he liked, and giving him extra money for housework despite us doing the same amount of work. He would always put me down, belittle me, bully me with his friends at school, break my stuff, and his then blame me and was just a pain in general. Growing up, the only people I knew to rely on was my older sister Jane, my cousin Kai, and my best friend Isaac, who all knew what an awful person my brother was. Anyway, cut to when I was 17, and I had my first girlfriend, someone I loved very much. We didn't have sex, because she wanted to wait till her 18th birthday to lose her virginity. But it turns out she was having an affair with my brother behind my back for half the time we were together, and only got caught when it was revealed she was pregnant. I was crushed. She knew how much I hated my brother, and she saw some of the awful things he did to me, but she still went and did that. Cheating is bad enough, but to do it with him, of all people? I punched him in the face, and broke his nose and made him lose a tooth. But according to my parents, I'm the one in the wrong, and now have to help this girl who is carrying my brother's child, and have to help support them. My brother then said he had no intention of being a father, and told my girlfriend to get an abortion. She then ran out of town, and I never saw her again. Don't know if she had the baby or aborted all I know was that she was gone, and my folks were still praising my brother as the golden child. I was still the black sheep, and failure as per usual. Another year goes past, and me and my brother still despise each other, but I had started dating again. It was a long while, but I found someone. Found a boy I liked. I'm bisexual, and this new guy Daniel I had met at college caught my eye. He was deaf, and I studied sign language out of boredom, so we got talking and things just seemed to click. We date, fall in love, bring him to my friend Isaac's party to introduce him to my friends, and all feels great. At this point, the only one who knew I was bi was Isaac, but one day, walking into a cinema holding my boyfriend's hand, I bump into my evil twin. He points, laughs, and says some homophobic remarks. I tell him to go screw himself, and I go see a movie with my arm around my boyfriend. When I got home after dropping my boyfriend home, I knew I'd be facing something as I walked through the front door. I saw both my parents on the sofa, my mother crying about how on earth could she have given birth to someone so disgusting. Was it too much to hope that she saw the light and was talking about my brother? But no, she was talking about me and how I'm a stain on our family's name. My father gets up to yell at me, spout homophobic remarks and slurs. At this point, I see my brother up the staircase with a crap-eating grin on his face. He then comes down and says he's uncomfortable with sharing a room with a guy like that, and my folks kick me out there and then. With what little clothes and money I had, I went to Isaac's house, and his family took me in where I stayed for 6 months, actually experiencing familial love and affection, and Isaac's mother and stepdad I consider my own parents now. Eventually, me, Daniel, and Isaac all get a 2-bedroom flat together, and all is good for the time being. So cut to December last year. Me and my boyfriend, now husband Daniel, are married. Isaac was my best man. My sister and cousin Kai walked me down the aisle. I have a brilliant job in graphic design, have my own house by the sea, and life has never been better. However, I got a call from my sister that my brother was in hospital. I hadn't thought about him oh my god, this story. I hadn't thought about him that much over the 9-year period since I was kicked out. But being reminded of his existence brought up a lot of painful memories for me. I was told by my sister that Sebastian wanted to see me and that it was urgent. So I went to the hospital he was in and met my sister outside the front entrance. I ask her what this is all about, but she doesn't tell me, and that I need to ask my twin. So I arrive to where my brother is, who have my parents at his side, and my folks actually look happy to see me, as if what they did to me hasn't happened, and Sebastian also looked really pleased to see me. It's safe to say something was off. Eventually, I ask what's going on, and why was I even here, to which my brother tells the family to leave us two alone. He looks so weak, as before he used to intimidate me so much. He told me that he was dying from kidney failure, and has been the past few years, but now he didn't have long left. I knew immediately where this was going. He then said he always regretted that we never got along, at which point I told him no. He looked confused and asked what I was on about, so I simply told him I wasn't going to donate my kidney to save him. He looked as if I had just taken a crap in his food. He then went on about how bad the situation was, and that he was really sorry for all the things we did to each other growing up. Like, excuse me? We did to each other? I told him that I just wanted a brother growing up that cared and loved me, who wouldn't try and break me every day for 18 years. He then called in our mum and dad and told them that I wasn't going to give up my kidney. They then started to spout off that I owed them for my existence and that I have a duty to look after family. I asked them where that duty was when they kicked me out of the house, or where that duty was every time my brother gave me a black eye, or their duty was to look after their grandchild when Sebastian decided that he didn't want to be a father. I said for all the things he's done, from outing me to having an affair with my girlfriend and abandoning his child, that this was the universe's and my way of finally giving back what he dished out to bite him in the ass. I then turned around and walked out of the room, having that be the last time I ever saw Sebastian again. Not sure why they want a gay man's kidney anyway. I walked past my sister, who gave me a look. I gave her a look back, who then in turn gave me a look that said, I understand. After leaving the hospital, I felt as if a great weight had been taken off my shoulders. I went home and never looked back, pleased with my decision. Now, last week I get a call from my sister calling to inform me that Sebastian had died. She asked if I was okay, and I said I was, that I didn't really feel anything in all honesty. She said she understood to a degree, as Sebastian hadn't been all that kind to her over the years either. I had my husband Isaac there to support me. Honestly, at this point, Isaac may as well be our adopted child, since he's living with us till this whole situation with the world is over. The next day I was getting calls and texts from family members that I hadn't spoken to in years, telling me that I'm going to hell for being a bad son, being a bad brother, and for being a gay man, and that me and my husband don't deserve children. Hubby and I have been looking into adoption and surrogacy. This makes me second-guess my choice of not giving my brother my kidney. Even in death, he's making things harder for me. I did wonder if I was a bad person, and if I made the wrong decision, but I knew that if I was in that position, I would have been left for dead. Screw him. Other bits of information that may clear things up. 1. His renal failures were from living a hardcore lifestyle of drugs and alcohol. 2. My folks and sister did get themselves tested to see if they're matches, and none of them were. 3. I disowned them of being my family years ago, apart from Jane. So when I got married, I took my husband's last name and hyphened it with Isaac's last name, to which his folks were very pleased about. 4. Some family, Kai's folks, and my dad's brother have actually called to see how I'm doing and say they don't judge me for what happened. Others, however, have continued with the said abuse, whom I have now blocked. If he had been a good brother throughout my life, I'd have done it without a second thought. I'd have done the same for Jane, Kai, Isaac, and my husband. But I felt he didn't deserve it. 6. It's unlikely I'll ever see my parents again, and I'll make sure my children will never meet them. My revenge to them will be being a better parent than they ever were. Posted by user DivineMS_M. Titled, EP trespasses on our property after dark and gets bitten by our German Shepherd. I had a very large, very protective German Shepherd named Kaiser. We never trained him to be protective, but he was naturally so. We had a fence around our entire home and yard, with the exception of the side door off the kitchen. The fence stopped on either side of the doors. I had "Beware the dog, no trespassing" signs every 15 feet along our fence line. People who knew us knew to come around to the side door. This system worked beautifully for 10 years. Enter entitled person, OP, myself, and stupid tramp. I should mention that entitled parent was friends with my brother. He had been to our home on a few occasions, but always with my brother. Kaiser loved my brother, so Kaiser was okay with entitled parent being there. My son had a "for sale" sign on his truck, and his phone number was listed as well. He had had several injuries, all by phone, because those people can read. Apparently, entitled parent could not. I was home alone one night. I should mention we had 5 dogs, Kaiser was outside. All 4 other dogs were in-house, being lazy and sleeping in various spots. It was dark outside, and all the lights in my home were off, but my bedroom light towards the back of the house. It looked as if no one was home. This is important later. About 6:30 p.m, my phone rings. I see stupid number pop up. I only have her phone number because her husband, who is a nice guy, is our mechanic. I say, "Hello?" And she's like, your dog bit someone?" Her voice was highly judgmental in an almost Karen-like manner. Me, in a panic, jumped to see if somehow my dog got out of our fenced yard. Gate is latched and locked. I see Kaiser laying on the porch. He looks sleepy and relaxed, and wags his tail at me and lays back down. My sweet baby boy watching over us like always. I am relieved to see him inside the yard and gate still locked. I'm like, what? How? All my dogs are home. I don't understand. No. She literally starts every sentence with hence the name Stupid Bear. Entitled parent went to your house to talk to your son about buying the truck, and Kaiser jumped up and bit him. His hand is torn to shreds. Why was entitled parent even trying to come in my yard? I have a "Beware of the dog, no trespassing" signs everywhere. Plus my gate is locked. This makes no sense. I don't know, but his hand is pretty bad. He wants to know if your dog has all his shots. Does entitled parent have all of his shots? Entitled parent is a massive alcoholic, and this was me being snarky. I don't want my dog to die of alcohol poisoning. And SB laughs. I let her know I have insurance, and if entitled parent needs to see a doctor, he should go ahead. But I would also be reporting the dog bite and the trespassing onto my property. I have to for the sake of my insurance company. At this point, I am more than a little annoyed. Dog bites are serious accusations. They say he doesn't want to go to a doctor. That's why he came to me. She used to work for a vet. I've cleaned his hand and wrapped it up. We just want to make sure Kaiser has had all of his shots. Okay, whatever. I reassured them he was up to date on all his shots and could show his records if needed. I saw entitled parent a few days later, and his hand was a gauze-wrapped bloody mess. I asked him how he was doing, and asked him what on earth possessed him to come over to my house, after dark, when I have all the signs and warnings up on an aggressive dog, and not to trespass. They say, well, I wanted to talk to your son about his truck. I've been to your house with your brother. Kaiser liked me, okay. I thought it would be okay. I tried to open your gate, but it was locked. So I reached inside to see if I could unlock it, and Kaiser came out of nowhere and bit me. What Kaiser actually did was rip the skin off the back of this man's hand, and he had a large flap of skin hanging down, ripped to each of his knuckles on the middle 3 fingers, exposing muscle and tendons. It was awful. He said he never heard Kaiser and never saw him. He just felt the bite. I don't know if he is an entitled person for assuming he did not have to follow our clear warning signs that have been on our fence for 10 years that he sees every time he drives past our house, or if he's just a stupid person. My dog was doing his job protecting his family. Keep in mind, this man is drunk by 10 a.m. I don't believe I have ever seen him sober. Nothing more came of the situation. Entitled parent stayed clear of us after that. He did eventually buy my son's truck, but his check bounced, so he took it back. The guy really is an idiot. Rip Kaiser, you brave, precious, loving, protective beast of a dog. You saved us so many times. Thank you for reading. Wow, they actually killed the dog. What the hell? Posted by user Scrippin, titled, Mother expects me to split my stimulus check with my entitled sibling. To preface, I just turned 19 years old and my sibling is 20. I wasn't planning on getting stimulus check due to the fact that I thought I was considered a dependent due to not having a job and such, so I was just living my life waiting for when I can get my GED and a job. 2 days ago, my mum was cooking herself dinner and I walked into the kitchen to get myself something. She asked me if I would be upset if I didn't get all of my stimulus check, and she took some of it to pay for my GED and driver's education courses. I said that I would be a little upset. I wanted to make that decision for myself to feel like a bit of an adult, and that I thought I wasn't even going to get one. Next thing I know, she came back in from her car, angrily handed me my check, and said that I better be responsible with it. Now, call me unreasonable, but that was a little bit rude. But me being me, I just brushed it off, made myself dinner, and deposited it through my bank's mobile app. Yay! I got money for important adult things, right? Wrong. It's been 2 days now, and my mother just told me in front of my entitled sibling and dad that I should split my check with my entitled sibling. Now, I like to think I'm a pretty generous person with a big heart. I love helping people out and all, but my entitled sibling is the least responsible person I've ever met. They spend all their money on weed and knickknacks with no purpose. Especially since I need to spend the money on important things that will help me move out of this hellhole. I said no. After this, my mother went to bed. She said goodnight to my father and my entitled sibling, but not to me. Purposefully. It was one of the most petty things I've ever witnessed. My entitled sibling has apparently been complaining about not getting a stimulus check and is especially upset that I did. They're calling it unfair. I think it's perfectly fair because I didn't decide the rules for everything. I shouldn't have to shell out $600 to a person that's going to spend it on illegal things. Am I the one being unreasonable? Should I just eat crap and give them the $600? Or should I actually stick up for myself for once and spend it on things I need? Any advice would be appreciated. Your mum and sibling are totally wrong here and can get screwed. Alright, I just thought I would ask outside sources to make sure I was seeing everything right. Do yourself a favor, since they're talking about doing another stimulus check for $2,000, and get yourself a post office box. If they're so entitled as to ask this time, I wouldn't be surprised if next time they just endorse it themselves and deposit and give it to your entitled sibling. It wouldn't surprise me if the $2,000 one came in and you'd never see it. They'd rationalize it as you should split it anyway, so $1,000 belongs to entitled sibling, and since you didn't split the first check, you owe entitled sibling $600 anyway, then the last $400 will be kept as well, because if you knew another check came, they figure you want the full $2,000, so it's best you just don't know about it. I'd bet my stimulus check on it. That's not really an option. I don't have a license and the post office isn't within walking distance. If they do anything like that next time though, I'm calling the police. Posted by user Misty Willow, titled, Entitled Lady Thinks She Can Just Come In. So this is a story about my mum's friend who busted her way into our home and stayed way too long. It's a little long, but worth the read. I call this one, The Day My Mum Came Out of the Closet. Back centuries ago, when I was 12 or 13, Mum decided we needed to paint the living room. I was okay with it because I was really too young to realize how much work was involved with painting a room. Mum took a couple of days off work to get this project done. She figured 2 days would be enough. She was almost right. Before I go any further, I know you are asking yourself, what does painting a living room have to do with coming out of a closet? Stick around. You will soon understand. We took all the furniture out and had our tarps down. Mum taped off the floorboards and removed the outlet covers. We were ready to begin. We started by the door frames and was just getting to the walls when Mum heard a car pull up in the driveway. Dang, she said. It was her friend Miss Moore, not her real name. Mum, not wanting to spend the day talking to Miss Moore, this lady could talk the warts off a frog's ass, told me to tell her that she wasn't home. I said, okay. Miss Moore waddled up to the front door and knocked. Mum took off down the hall and hid in the closet. You getting it now? I cracked the door open just a hair and said hello. Miss Moore asked if Mum was home. I told her she wasn't. I said we're painting the living room and Mum went to get more supplies. Miss Moore, being the epitome of a good entitled friend, said, "That's okay, I'll come in and wait for her." And then she pushed past me and strode into the living room like she owned the place. I'm thinking this will only be for a few minutes as I stole a nervous glance down the hall to the closet. I picked up my paintbrush and continued painting. Miss Moore then bombarded me with question after question after question. This woman could talk. I was trying to ignore her, but it was impossible. I was trying real hard not to start laughing or crying. I answered as best as I could. I tried to tell her that Mum had several errands to run, but she wasn't getting the hint. She was too busy talking to hear what I was mumbling. I resigned myself to the fact that this was going to be a very long afternoon. At one point, she had been talking for so long that I started to hallucinate. She disappeared, and in her place was a great giant pair of red lips on legs. The more she talked, the bigger these red lips grew. Did I tell you that this woman could talk? She had been there quite a while, and Mum must have got a bit of a cramp because we heard something from the hall. What was that? The red lips, Miss Moore asked. We have squirrels in the attic, I said. She bought it. She wasn't very bright. I was starting to get antsy. Mum had been in the closet for quite a while now. It was getting to be lunchtime, and I was hungry, and I knew Mum had to be hungry as well. I said again that Mum had several errands, and it could be a while before she gets back. That's okay, Miss Lips said. I don't have anything planned for today. Great. Just great. I kept painting, she kept talking. My brain had gone numb. I no longer heard what she was saying. I just mumbled a "yes, ma'am" every once in a while and kept nodding my head. Miss Moore then asked if we had any coffee. Dang, I thought. I told her we didn't have any made. She asked if I'd be a dear and make some. Like a zombie, I walked into the kitchen and put the peculator on. She has to leave soon, I thought. I hoped. I prayed. After the coffee was done, I went and fixed us up both a coffee. I figured that she would drink a cup, then leave. 3 cups later, she was still there. Did I mention that this woman could talk? I just about had 2 walls finished myself now. I was thinking, was it possible for a 13-year-old to have a complete nervous breakdown from being talked to? I was beginning to think so. I saw a moment from the corner of my eyes. No, this is too good to be true. She reached into her purse and had her keys in her hand. I dared not breathe. Was she leaving? She said, I guess I should go. It's getting late. I stood in the middle of the room, not breathing, not moving, not blinking. I said, yeah, looks like Mum had more to do than she thought. Miss Moore waddled over to the door and put her chubby little hand on the doorknob. There is a God, was all I could think. She slowly, ever so slowly, turned the knob, then stopped. Dang! I need to use the bathroom before I leave, she said. So close, so very close. She had been there for over 2 hours, so she probably did have to use it. Down the hall, first door to your right, I said. The closet was the second door on the right, and they were right next to each other. She went and stayed in there for several minutes. Then to my relief, I heard this toilet flush and the water in the sink come on. She came out and said she had enjoyed our visit. I said something like, yeah, me too, or yeah, screw you, or something. I mumbled it so low she didn't hear me. She then opened the door and I almost screamed from the pain of the sunlight. She waddled down to her car, got in and left. I shut and locked the door. Mum, she's gone, I yelled down the hall. The closet door busted open with a force you only see in movies. There was a whirl of color, not unlike the Tasmanian Devil from the Bugs Bunny cartoons, and then the bathroom door slammed shut. I don't know how you were raised, but we were not wealthy enough to have a potty in the closet. Mum had to pee before she went in. She had been holding it for over 2 hours. When she finally emerged from the bathroom, she was a sweaty, shaking mess. I went and put on another pot of coffee, and I really couldn't help myself. I busted out laughing, and it took several minutes for me to pull myself back together. Mum just gave me the evil eye mum look. She knew she couldn't get mad at me because, after all, I was just a kid and she was the one that told me to tell her she wasn't home. To this day, I still tease Mum about that day that she came out of the closet. Alright guys, that's all for today's episode. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, be sure to tell me what you thought about it down in the comments down below. If you're new to the channel also, don't forget to subscribe. It would really help out with my channel growth. And also, a huge shout out to my channel patrons and members. I just love you guys and thank you for supporting me on this journey. If you guys are new to the channel and you'd like to support me, links are down below for the Patreon, or you can click the join button next to subscribe if you'd like to become a channel member. Alright guys, that's all for today's episode. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you have a good day, night, sleep, whatever you're up to, and I'll see you in the next episode. Bye.